businesses can be a positive agent for change in the world. And the reality is that small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, around the world are actually the linchpin on which a healthy society relies. That's because of the 333 million SMEs, and while in different countries there are different sort of definitions around what an SME is, for the sake of this conversation, I'm predominantly focusing on businesses that have up to 250 employees. So, anything from a small organisation up to 250. But whatever country you go to, around the world, those SMEs employ the most people, and their impact in local and global economies is disproportionate. There are absolutely real challenges for small and medium enterprises when they're competing in global markets, whether that is around the fact that when it comes to the benefits of supply chains, pricing, infrastructure, or access to capital that scale would afford, they don't have that. So there are these constraints or challenges that can occur for small and medium enterprises because of that. But there are also benefits, and those benefits allow those of us that are leaders of SMEs to be responsive and agile. They allow us to make fast decisions and to capitalise on the opportunities that are emerging in a rapidly changing business environment like the one we all find ourselves in. So it is worth being honest and realistic about the constraints and challenges of an SME, but also to focus in on those opportunities and the pieces that set us apart. Think a little bit more about this role of SMEs. There's two key factors, really. One is to encourage you that, in fact, in amongst all of the frustration and conversations and challenges that are being discussed in the world related to business's role, related to the challenges of embedding some of this change into corporations, around the challenges of can we actually address the big entrenched social and environmental problems, around some of the skepticism that is really public and quite vocal in the media related to investors and impact investment or ethical investment, and people trying to shift and influence the way that big businesses are operating in the world. So I am having this first part of the conversation with you today as kind of a counterpoint to some of that negative, frustrating energy that is sitting or hovering over the conversation around the role of business in making a positive impact in the world. And that's because this conversation, when we focus on businesses like ours and on the role that we can play as business leaders of small and medium enterprises, is to say that many, not all, but many of the challenges that I just discussed, much of the skepticism, much of the frustration in not being able to get traction, in not being able to make the level of change or the speed of change that people are wanting to see happen, much of that is not actually an issue for us in the SME space. Because that distance that a large business or corporation has, particularly a large listed organisation, the distance between who can make decisions, who has influence, and that particular role that an individual can play, whether they are an investor or a leader in that organisation, whether they are a customer or an employee of that organisation. Those frustrations and distance between desire and decision or influence are not present for you, and they're not present for me in the same way in our own organisations.